If you're enjoying the Health Geeks Book Club podcast, we'd appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, leave a like, rating, or review, whichever your preferred podcatcher platform allows.
This edition of our podcast is brought to you by 360 Health and Well Balanced Nutrition.
Welcome to the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. Listen in as Kristen Norton and Eleanor Russell review all those great health and wellness books you've been wanting to read or you have read and want to talk about. Here's Kristen and Eleanor.
Hey, Eleanor, how's it going today?
Oh, I am feeling so pumped. We've got some interesting things to talk about today.
Yes. So first up, we have The Lazy Genius Way by Kendra Adachi. Now, Eleanor, I know this is not a health sciencey book.
Nope.
But I really wanted us to discuss and share it because I just love the down-to-earth, practical advice that Kendra offers, along with a good dose of humor. And I thought with all of the things we've read about science and, these things that help us, this book gets down to the nitty-gritty of, okay, but how do I practically do things in a way that makes sense to me in a day-to-day manner? So thanks for reading it with me, even though it's not a very sciencey book.
Oh, you're welcome.
And also Kendra wrote this at a time when she had littles. She still has little kids. And so a lot of the advice is kind of tailored or mentions being a mom with kids. So I hope that you were able to get through that and still find some gems in there for you, or maybe that you could pass along to your children.
Yeah, I was looking at who she is, and, I always like to look at who writes these books and when they come out. This is a very current book, 2020. And she said that she wanted to become a high school English teacher, I think, but things changed and she didn't. And now she has this wonderful life. And I remember starting family life and the challenges that people have. And she just dives into what her struggles have been and some of the wisdom that she's learned on the way. And I think some of us that have kids that are on their own now and raising their own families, there is wisdom that comes through this life experience. And if you get it faster than, sooner than later, it's very, very helpful. So if you don't have people sharing tips with you, you can just keep bumbling along for way too long. So yeah, I agree with you. This is a book that has relevance and practical application.
Yes. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the publisher. Did you look into that? Well,
it's a Random House, Penguin. So that to me is a good sign. That means that it went through an editorial process, and the grammar's really good.
Yeah.
Some books that are self-published, the paragraph structure, and it just doesn't flow. So this book is definitely organized. It flows. It takes you through an idea. You can comprehend it. And as you said, she has a sense of humor, and I think she was a little hesitant to include all of her humor in the body of the book. So she has these little sidebars.
I love it. Yeah, these little asterisks.
And you sort of jump down and say, I got to read the asterisks. And then you go giggle, giggle.
Yes. Well, she is local to
where we are. Yeah, in North Carolina.
A local author in North Carolina. And I found her on Instagram. She's got a really big presence there at The Lazy Genius. And I reached out to her to let her know that we were reading her book. And I was really excited to hear back from her.
I thought it was so cool.
Hi, Kristen and Eleanor. Thank you so much for reading The Lazy Genius Way. I hope that I want to say I hope you love it. I hope you like it. I hope you don't hate it. If you hate it, don't tell me. But thanks for reading it. Thanks for sharing it with your audience at the Health Geeks Book Club. And I appreciate you guys. Take care.
And we appreciate you too, Kendra. And we want to meet you. So we're looking forward to an opportunity that our paths may cross soon.
Yes. So she was actually at the Bookmarks bookstore in Winston-Salem, closer to when this book came out, I think. But yes, we hope we meet you sometime soon. And thank you, Kendra, for that little shout out.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of you for writing a book. That's a big challenge. And then to put yourself out there and say, well, tell me if you like it or you don't hate it. But you'll tell me, right? That was very, very refreshing.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. And she's also writing another book right now.
Oh, do you know what it's on?
What?
What's it about? Do you know?
It's the Lazy Genius Kitchen.
Oh.
So I can't wait to
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could do one on each of her chapters then, because some of her examples are in different parts of the home.
Yes. Well, I want to give you guys a little background on Kendra, what she shares in the book, and what the Lazy Genius Way is. So, Lazy Genius, let's talk about that term that she's created. Well, growing up, she had an unpredictable home life as a child, and she kind of learned that if she kept her room clean or got good grades and stayed quiet, she'd feel loved and her dad might not get mad at her. That's what she shared. This quote it hit hard for me. I tried so hard to be enough, but my dad didn't stop telling me how to be better. And so she that set the stage for her to become a perfectionist. And she was always the teacher's pet and tried to be the perfect friend who didn't rock the boat, and trying to earn love because she never felt like enough just from her childhood. And so then she tried to be a genius about everything and earn everybody's love and overdo everything. And then kind of got burnt out on that approach, and then decided to be lazy about everything and just whatever, I give up. And that approach didn't work either. So she kind of shares how she's come to the terms of we can be lazy on things that don't really matter to us, and a genius and smart about getting things done that do matter to us. And this kind of just dives into tips that can be applied throughout different places in your life. So she goes on to have 13 different principles.
She calls them rules, I think. And when I was reflecting on this book, I will share that I have watched NCIS for too many times. And so Jethro has rules, Rule 231, and people are supposed to know what these rules are. So she's got 13, and one of the things that I have sort of been brought to think about is people can only retain about 7 things. And so lists that go on beyond 7 may or may not get remembered. So I think it's interesting that there are 13 of these, but they're good.
They are good.
Yeah.
And they kind of build on each other,
right?
At least in the beginning.
Yeah. And do you think if we just kind of itemize what they are first, and then maybe develop a couple of them, take home ones that we liked, is that going to help our listeners, or what are you thinking?
We could share all 13, but then kind of pick our favorites to share with y'all.
Well, I've got a list of them if you want me to read them.
Yeah.
The rules are: decide once. Rule number 2 is start small. Rule number 3 is ask the magic question, which is, what can I do now to make life easier later? 4 is live in the season. 5 is build the right routine. 6 is set house rules. That's a good one. And then 7 is put everything in its place. Rule number 8, let people in. Rule number 9, batch it. Rule number 10, essentialize. Rule number 11, go in the right order. Rule number 12, schedule rest. And rule number 13, the final rule, is be kind to yourself. So that's the overview of all the things that she develops in this book. So would you like to take it from here? Do you have one that you like in particular? Or
Well, yeah, it's hard to pick.
Oh, you know what, though? On page 6, you had a quote that stepped out to you, and I thought this. She said, read the introduction in this book. Don't skip the introduction. Remember, she said, please read it. So I did. And that idea, you were talking about how things got so complex, and she was trying to do everything. And a lot of times people will try to counsel you when that's your situation and say, oh, just simplify things. Just make it simple. So that KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. Well, she says why simplifying doesn't work in her introduction. It's the most common solution to feeling overwhelmed. Simplify. Do less. Have less. Get on Instagram less. cut down on commitments, outsource, and say no. I have heard this in my life so many times. But they also say, give back to the community, join a book club, grow heirloom tomatoes, make your own baby food. I did that myself, and that's when I hit the thing that I could have read this book at. Run an impressive side hustle and go on a regular date night with your spouse if you expect your marriage to survive. Now, how is that simple? In my experience, marriage, entrepreneurship, and gardening are all super complicated. And that's why she said there's got to be a better way. So here's the genius lazy way, or the lazy genius way.
I love that you shared that. And then to kind of piggyback off of that, she then says it's beautiful to try when it comes to things that actually matters. You're allowed to care and you're allowed to be yourself, but she kind of prompts you to do the work of, just because all of these things are good to do, they might not matter to you. And it's okay to decide for yourself and be yourself of what matters.
Yeah, she says there's a mantra, and this is our new mantra out of the book. So one of my takeaways from the book is on page 7. She says, this is the mantra: be a genius about the things that matter and lazy about the things that don't to you. And that's exactly what Kristen just said.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So I'm going to start with one because I think this is just a fun story to tell about the decide once. So Kendra says, make a fixed decision, especially in areas of your life that can be stressful, and that'll free up space for things that matter. And so I liked to think about this. Okay, where in my life do I make decisions over and over that I could maybe just decide once? And she has lots of different suggestions, from the gifts that you buy for people, for teachers, for weddings, etc.
That is such a good suggestion, everybody. You read the book for this if that's the only thing you read it for.
Right. Yeah. So to have like one go-to wedding thing so that when you get invited to a wedding, you know exactly what you're going to buy them. Yeah. Yeah. I liked that.
And the teacher gifts. Oh my gosh. Every year you're doing that.
And you feel the pressure to come up with something new
Different,
and creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
yes.
So decide once. And that's what she's saying. Give it a good think, make a plan, and then you just have to actionize that plan after it's done. You don't have to think about it anymore.
Exactly. And hers, I think the unique one that she shared was her Monday wardrobe. So at the time of this book, she had for 3 years been wearing pretty much the same thing every Monday, because Mondays can be chaotic for a lot of people. And for her, it just helped to know she was going to wear black and denim every Monday. That was her Monday wardrobe.
And I immediately jumped to Steve Jobs, and then I saw the asterisk, and she had it in there. So I went, yeah, we're thinking along the same lines.
Yes.
But what a great idea. And that's why he said he did it. He said, I wear the same clothes every day because I don't want to spend my decision time and energy on that. That's not the value I have to give.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a neat idea too, because, much like you mentioned her in the beginning of the book, to simplify, we have this idea floating around on the internet that, you just have 5 things in your closet or whatever. But what if that's not your thing, but you can easily just simplify, like, this is what I wear on Mondays. And that's it. That's an easy way to simplify. Eleanor, I thought you would like this one. The cleaning products. Decide once on cleaning products.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there, baby.
Because streamlining is really helpful. I admit I used to get excited about buying a new mop, and then the next year I'd buy another new mop, or this cleaning product looks new and fancy and smells good.
And it's the rage.
But when you just buy one good natural cleaner that you could use for lots of things, that frees up so much space.
Which is exactly what I do at 360 Health, is I help people tackle that challenge for sure. One of the things I do with them. But having a concentrate that lasts a long time is economic. It is efficient. It's powerful. It's green. And, so you make all those decisions. If those are the kinds of things that are important to you, you don't even have to go down the cleaning aisle anymore. So you just saved yourself a whole bunch of fretful decisions, because when you go into a store and there's shelves of products, colors, the levels of the things, it's too much, and you get overstimulated, and you find yourself going, what do I want? What do I want? And then you just throw 5 or 6, too many things in your cart. They go under the counter. You never look at them. You don't even know if they're good for you, but you get to a place where your overdrive is just shot. So cleaning, yes, you can simplify that, and I can help you. Contact me at 360health4u.com.
Yeah, you can use that concentrate for the bathroom, the sink, the kitchen.
Laundry, everything.
Laundry,
yeah.
yes.
Clean your windows, clean your mirrors, clean your countertops, clean your toilet.
It's a brilliant way to decide once and then be done.
And then you have the energy on decisions for other things.
Exactly.
So we've got the clothes, we've got the cleaning.
And then she does go into meal planning.
There you go. Now you tell us about what you do over there.
Yeah, she calls it the meal matrix. So, that thing where you say Taco Tuesday, Pizza Friday, that's a form of deciding once. And I like that. I like that idea. And we do help you with meal planning and eating healthy. Visit us at wellbalancednutrition.com or follow us on Instagram at wellbalancednutritionnc.
That thing about food that I think is a good advice, when people have expectations and they know what's coming, they don't have to think either. So if you have a family unit and everybody knows Taco Tuesday, then they don't have to worry about what's for dinner or think of what they want because they know that's what it's going to be, And I remember myself having a husband who says, you wake up at 5:30 in the morning, says, what's for dinner? And I'm going, I don't know. Why is that my job? I have heard so many other,
Exactly.
I've heard so many other people, since I had that experience, I'm peaked for it, say the same thing. It's like, nobody told me in adulting I was going to be the one who had to plan all the meals for the next 50 years. And,
Amen. Yeah.
And that's a conversation that you can have and have it maybe once. You revisit it every 10 years if you'd like. But that idea of how are we going to go through this? Because we are going to need to eat for the next, several years. And decisions. Now, our producer over here, Tim Beeman, also has some fun with the meal thing because they have a big chart on the wall that they spin, and it says something about countries. And
we call it touring from the home kitchen. So we have a spinner that we have all the countries of the world minus like 3 because we've already done
them.
We've eliminated them, and we spin that to find out which country we're going to next, and we seek out recipes from those countries, and so we know that when we get into that, then there's going to be a good 2 or 3 weeks of learning about the country, figuring out what ingredients we'll need to make these foods, and then food them. But, we have to plan for that. There has to be a regiment that we put forth, or we would just willy-nilly put stuff together, and that would be against the spirit of the
adventure
experiment that we're doing. So,
and see, that to me is taking something that could be a stressful event and making it into something to look forward to and a de-stressor, because I'm sure that's something you all look forward to doing. Whereas, if you haven't thought that through and made a decision, decide once, this is what we're going to do, and then set up the process, and you're on your way and you have a good time. And that's what I think that's what she's about, is you want to have a quality life. You don't want it full of stress.
I agree.
And those are her tips.
Yeah. Well, what one did you like?
Well, of course, living in the season is one that we can talk about for sure. That's rule number 4. It's kind of high on her list. And I do want to just mention that magic question. I read a book called The One Thing, and then later in the book she brings him up. I think his name is Gary Keller, The One Thing, and he says, what is the one thing if I did it would make all the other things not necessary, or at least not critical? And she's reformulated that to what can I do now to make my life easier later. So it's the same concept, and that's that idea of really stopping, taking a breath, looking at what all the choices are, and then eliminating some of those and just saying, this is the one that I'm going to focus on because it's the important one. So I liked rule number 3, and that led into rule number 4, which is live in the season, because those one things are going to change maybe over time. If you have an infant, number 1, you got to take care of the infant, and they don't respond too well. You just have this responsibility, which then means your time is consumed in some of the other things that you would like to do, like take off for the day and go to the spa may not happen because you just can't afford it or you can't do it. So relaxing into the season and knowing this is just not permanent, it is, and learn from it. What is the lesson that I'm learning in this season? So for me, my kids are out of the house and I have family at a distance and I still want to stay connected. So I always look for opportunities to connect and not interfere. That idea that I don't want to lose the umbilical cord that's attached, but it is stretching. And so what's the lesson in that? The lessons, lots of lessons come from that. Enjoying the independence of your children, enjoying their ability to be functional and happy adults. That you don't have to make decisions for them anymore. Oh, gee, that's great. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you have a rule or a reflection, or did that stimulate anything in you?
Well, I think that live in the season rule is really important as well. And it reminded me of a client who I started working with and then took a quick break because she needed to take care of her elderly parents.
Mm-hmm.
And she just had to put a pause on her wellness efforts. And I think that that's okay. I love that, the wisdom Kendra gives is your difficult season of life won't always be like this. And when it is, just pause, see your season as an invitation to be human. Oh, I love that. Name what matters and strengthen who you already are. And like you said, let it teach you something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, we all have these different seasons, and it's really important. I think it gets down to her core message of embrace what matters. And that's different in each season of our lives.
Well, do you remember being a college student and the idea there was the future? I'm doing stuff now so I can live later.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about this, and we have already talked about it in several books, the rate of depression in our society may be coming from people who are not able to be present where they are now and having expectations that I'm going to deny myself living right now for some future. And I don't think is healthy. I think you're investing in your future, and your studies, for this example, certainly are critical. You cannot not do them if you are hoping to have a profession or to serve in some capacity that this education is going to help you with. But still, you have to look at who you are and what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And find things to enjoy about your season.
And then follow these rules, and that last one, be kind to yourself. So I always going to come back to that one.
Yeah, yes.
Did you, you said something about batching it, but putting everything in its place. I think you also said that we could condense these 13 rules because some of them coordinate so nicely with each other.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I think that batching is certainly can be put everything in its place. You can go through your house with a laundry basket and pick up everything, and this is my put it away moment. Or you can, if you're cooking, you can do meal prepping. And that's going to batch it, but it's also putting the food in the refrigerator and having it ready. So you're putting things in its place.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, just like this weird little tidbit that I appreciated is like when you go grocery shopping and you take out all of the groceries from the bag, do you take it out one bag at a time and put it away one at a time, or do you take them all out of the bags, put them in their zones, and then put them away? Like, that's a simple form of batching that I just never thought about.
I have migrated to that, but it was before I read this book. But
really?
I have noticed that that's what I do these days.
Oh, cool.
I didn't used to.
Yeah.
Because I only had a space for one bag to set on the counter or something like that. I didn't have the space to unpack and sort and then just go to the fridge, open up the hydrator, put it all in. Carry the bottles, stick them in, whatever. Put them in the pantry, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think batching is brilliant. And it does go with putting everything in its place and also asking the magic question, right? What can I do now to make my life easier? And you could, if you're already cutting an onion, cut the whole onion, cut the other vegetables, batch that so that you don't have to get all those things out later.
Mise en place.
Okay, good for you. What was that?
Mise en place, which is a French term. It's a culinary term for everything in its place.
Oh, I like that.
So when you go to cook, you make sure you have everything that you need already set out ready. So whenever you're not chopping onions while your garlic's burning.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good example. Well, you were talking about putting things away, or at least we were. sometimes the question comes up, I have too much stuff. And she was good about that. She said, that might be your problem. You might have too much stuff, but maybe you're a person who having stuff matters to you. You know, that was that mantra.
I love that, yes.
Yeah, so it's the idea then maybe you just don't have enough place to store your stuff, or you're not storing it properly. Maybe you just have a problem with how you're managing your stuff. So she was, I thought, very flexible on that one. Instead of just saying, oh, you have a problem, you need to get rid of stuff, minimalize, become an essentialist.
Yes.
To be talked about later.
She talks about a lot of good strategies there that, maybe you're just not in the habit of putting it away as soon as possible. And that could be a step that you take in the right direction.
Example, coming home from I traveled out of state by airlines, had baggage, came home, packing it, you get out of the house, coming home, you could let those bags sit there and just kind of dig through them. She says, here's a tip. As soon as you get in, unpack. So I did it this time.
How'd that go?
Oh, it was great. I came right in the door, went right to the bedroom where most of the stuff in my suitcase needed to go in the bath, and get everything put away. And it took, like she said, it takes like 20 minutes. It doesn't take a lot.
You feel so much better afterwards,
Yeah, and then my life went on. It's like, okay, I'm home. Yeah. Things are where I need them. I don't have to, if the laundry's over in the laundry, and when it's laundry time, I'll get to the laundry.
Yeah, it kind of sets that stage for you. And if I tend to leave it, and then it just kind of lingers and weighs on you.
Yeah, and you may have suitcases for your children too, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the things that's like, I don't want to deal with it. There's too much. But if you can kind of step into it, it was good advice for me. I would say give that a shot and see if it works for you.
You know what I liked in that chapter, put everything in its place, is her idea to know where something will go before you bring it home. Because, oh my gosh, you can go to Target and be like, oh, look, this is so pretty. I must have it.
Like a set of drink glasses,
Yeah, just
you don't have any cabinet space for those. What are you doing?
Exactly. So think, do I have a place to put this? And it really stopped you in your tracks. Like, oh, okay, maybe I don't need to get this. Like, I don't know how many times I like going into Home Goods and stores like that, but I see women in line like, oh my gosh, I have to have this coffee mug. And then I think to myself, I'm so glad I'm over that. And I realize that I don't need another darn coffee mug. I don't have the place for it.
And you have your pretty aqua one that's a Yeti.
Yeah, I use this Yeti over and over anyway. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I have a question on putting things where they go. When you check into a hotel, do you unpack or do you live out of the suitcase?
I've started to unpack. If there's I never did that before, but it's freeing to put things in the little dresser that they give you. How about you?
Well, I do that too, but I've also discovered these little packing, I forget what you call them, but mine are stackets. They're like nylon zipper bags that you put in your luggage. Yeah, the cubes.
Yeah,
I love those things because that organizes. I have my underwear in one, and I don't have to figure out where my socks are. I have my workout clothes. If I have my swim stuff because I'm going to be at the beach or whatever, it's in another pack.
That's kind of like batching.
It is batching, and when I discovered that, it changed I love that system. So those go into the drawers very easily. You just take the little cube out, put it in the drawer, unzip it, and it's you're ready. Your clothes aren't in somebody else's stuff either. They're somewhat protected. Yeah, we do have the bed bug issue when we travel. Do you want to go there? No, let's skip that. Okay. All right. And we probably need...
It is forbidden.
Verboten. This is German day, right?
Yes.
Well, 12 and 13, I can batch those together too. Is schedule rest and be kind to yourself because, letting yourself rest is being kind.
And rest doesn't happen on its own.
No.
You've got to schedule it. I think that's a really important thing that we don't really think about in our go society and our big to-do lists that are important, that we don't schedule rest or we don't schedule fun either.
Yeah. Well, I remember when Sundays, no stores were open when I was growing up, so you couldn't do a lot of stuff on Sunday.
Blue laws.
Yeah, right. So there was some sort of societal structure to say, okay, you can't run around and do the things that you would do on Saturday. And, families did stuff. They did sit on the porch and rock. The kids did play, ping pong or whatever. You ate leftovers. You had a big meal, whatever. It was, and now there's not any routine to everybody's resting. That's kind of different in the United States right now. Other countries still have their siestas and routines, maybe.
I would love it if it would be a normal thing to have an afternoon nap. That would be
Or
great.
just a quiet time.
Just quiet time.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, in this chapter, Schedule Rest, she has the best definition of self-care that I've ever seen.
Oh, share, please.
She says self-care should be a regular practice of doing what makes you feel like yourself. It's a practice of remembering who you are.
Oh, yes, that is good.
I just loved that. And so Lucy and I, my business partner, we often say, what are you doing to fill your cup? And that's our way of saying, this self-care is what makes you feel fulfilled. And it's different for everybody. I was just talking to somebody who's like, you know what? I don't like going to get my nails done and getting a pedicure. That's not my self-care because that doesn't make me feel like me. But spending some time just being by myself makes me feel like me. So I just thought, yes, that is the best definition of self-care I've seen.
Absolutely. And she ends the book with a couple of case studies to show how to apply the rules. She does the moving into a new city or learning to cook, since we've mentioned that one. So, she kind of walks you through the application of the 13 rules in those situations so that you can maybe see what your situation is and maybe, model after what she's done.
Mm-hmm. And throughout the book, too, I think she has these little nice sidebars and reminders that, hey, this is a great tip, but don't forget that you have to decide what matters to you. So it may not be the right tip for you, or, take it or leave it, but don't forget to remember what matters.
She also has the structure to this is a recap at the end of each chapter.
Those are nice.
Yeah, and this is a fast read if you want to. This is not a heavy-duty, difficult to understand, have to learn a whole new vocabulary type of book. This is very readable, enjoyable. She has a delightful style of writing and shares her experience. I can't wait to meet her because I like her already. I kind of know Kendra. If you're out there listening, looking forward to our next chat. But I did want to ask Kendra about the Swiss Army knife because it shows up there like this is a tool on your Swiss Army knife. And I don't know that she ever mentioned the Swiss Army knife until we'd opened it up a couple of times. I used to own a Swiss Army knife, carried it everywhere. I don't think my younger friends have one. So I thought that was fun that she used a Swiss Army knife because it had everything on it. It has a corkscrew, a bottle opener, screwdriver, scissors, just everything in that. And it's like pocket size, goes in your pocket. It's a great tool.
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah, it was 9/11. Before 9/11, yeah.
9/11, yeah.
So we have 13 tools in our Swiss Army knife of lazy genius.
Yes. Yep. I think it's a great book to read. It's a great book to gift.
Oh, it would be a fun gift.
Yeah.
Oh, the teachers. This would make a great teacher gift.
Yes.
I love it.
Or even a great, I don't know if it'd be appropriate for a baby shower, but I would want to give moms this book. Mm-hmm. But if, we loved Kendra and her style. So I recommend following her on Instagram at The Lazy Genius because she offers some fun tips there as well.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, enjoy your reading, and we're going to open another book and see what's in it.
And opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and are not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted, and no part can be reproduced without the expressed written consent of Kristen and Eleanor.